Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So today we have Monica Miller, and we met, what was it, like 3-4 months ago now? It was a while back. But like right away, we just connected, and Monica helps a lot of people get on stages, get themselves out there, help them with, create their ideas into something that they can actually work on instead of their ideas being stuck in their head, which is extremely helpful. I know that from my own experience, and yeah, I'm just super excited. So, Monica, without any further ado, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm Monica Miller. I am your content guide. I help entrepreneurial women step on stages with their content. We do this through the power of getting all the ideas from here into a biteable, chunkable way to share your expertise online, build authority, get seen by the right people, and then get you booked on stages. I help many of my clients take all the jumbo mess and heal and make it cohesive speech with a cohesive content, strategy. I am a homeschool mom. I am also a boy mom, and I'm a military wife and a dog mom and a cat mom. So I wear many different hats whenever I'm not helping my clients succeed on stages. And so I'm also an international speaker, author, and writer. And I'm excited to be here.
That's incredible. Yeah, you just do so much, but you help so many people. And I've talked to a few of your clients now. One of your clients I talk to, I think, like daily now, and she told me about the progress that she's made with you and how grateful she is to you. And it's just amazing to hear those stories, you know? So it's like, for me, I like to connect people. So now, like, I know that you're the go-to for content and for speaking and all that. So now it's like, anytime I come across someone who needs help, I'm gonna be like, all right, you gotta talk to Monica. Especially women, because I know you mostly work with women.
I am not opposed to working with men. So if it's the right fit, we could definitely talk.
Exactly. Awesome. Now, what got you started on this journey that you're on?
Yeah. So when I was a little girl, I had a speech impediment. And for me, this looked like not being able to pronounce my R's, some S sounds, some CHs, and I talked really fast. So I was talking really fast, couldn't pronounce some of my words. And I remember people asking me to slow down, repronounce something, or they will look at my sister and ask her,
Yep.
what did she say? And if you have kids, they get extremely annoyed when you ask them to repeat themselves or ask somebody else, what do they say? And so when I got older and learned how to write, I felt like writing was a way for me to shine, a way for me to say and speak without someone saying, "What did you say? Oh, can you repeat that?" Because I didn't
Yep.
have to do that. I mean, I might have misspelled a word, but at least you could kind of figure out what that word was. And so I knew I wanted to do something with writing because that just
Mm-hmm.
catapulted what I do today. So when I was young, I was like, I'm going to be a famous author. And, as you
Yep.
get older, you kind of realize like being a famous author takes a lot of work than just writing a few books. And
Mm-hmm.
as I got older and started to write for newspapers and, even coaches, I realized one of the things that people struggled with, especially women, is how to share their story. Because I was a human
Mm-hmm.
interest story writer when I moved to Germany after I got married to my husband. And I met incredible people on base, but they had incredible stories, but no one knew who they were. Of course, that's why I went and interviewed them and worked for them. But it was in that moment that I realized, man, people are holding in their stories. And so when I became an entrepreneur myself and started to write for people, that was the number one thing that they will not share it. And I'm like, you got to share your story. And what you have to say is so important. And I could just see all the different kinds of content that they could be producing. And so that's how I really got started. It's like that passion to help people share their story and then help people get those story
Yeah.
out and the content out. First, like I said, I started first by helping people write. So I was writing for them. And then I slowly became a coach. And over the years, I realized I'm more of a mentor because I love to mentor you. I love to share this is how you can do it rather than write for you because everyone has their own vibe, their own energy.
Mhm.
And when you show up in your authentic energy, you're able to speak in a way that is going to generally connect. And although mm, I can write for you, I've noticed that when my clients write, there is a
Mhm.
different energy there that I cannot encapsulate on just, even as a good writer.
Exactly.
So that's a little bit about
Yep.
how I got here. I also started to speak at a younger age, like getting on stages. I started
Mhm.
at youth group where I was actually spoke in college at my youth group a little bit teaching Bible studies. And then I just kind of progressed.
That's amazing. I love your story because I can relate to it so much. I've had a speech impediment my whole life. And like you were talking when you were younger, people would ask you to repeat yourself, tell you to slow down, tell you to speak more clearly, or look at somebody that you were with. And that still happens to me today. Is people just look at whoever I'm with and go, "What did he say?" Which, yeah, it's annoying, but it's like I learned not to let it bother me. It's just like it's gonna happen. It's all right,
Even my
you
mom
know.
still asks
And
me, what did you say? I'm like, Mom!
yeah, mine too. And I'm just like,
I
really.
know.
So I will say, I think like my mom asked me like to I guess she, like, asked me more than others, like, to repeat myself, and I will be honest, but she doesn't know this. Hopefully, she doesn't listen to this episode, but, like, I'm kinda more nervous talking to my mom in a sense of how I speak to her, where I stutter more with my mom than most people. It's so weird. The woman that I know the best and I'm the most comfortable with, it's just you get that the nerves going and then you s you
You
stutter.
probably feel more comfortable stuttering with her than with other people. That might be why.
Ooh, I think that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Well, thank you. Look at that. I
Welcome.
learned something new. I think you're right though. Yeah. It's like I don't have I don't feel like I have to talk perfect because it's my mom.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, with
Yeah.
kids, it might be boring. They act unhinged with me, my husband, but when they're around other people, they're like little angels. So it's just all about
Yep.
comfortability. Whenever they're comfortable, they're unhinged. And
Yep.
whenever they're around other
Yep.
people, they're on their best behavior.
Yep. That's yeah, I guess I'm kinda like that. Like, I'm on social media and I have this, podcast, and, you know, I feel like we all kinda have, like, 2 sides to us. We got the side that everybody sees, and then we got the side that our loved ones see, So, like, when I'm around my people, like, I can loosen up and be more myself, but, like, I don't like to say it because I feel like I'm doing what I want as far as online. Obviously, online, you gotta filter yourself a little bit, So there is that aspect to it. Now, I did want to ask you, because this is something that I noticed. The more you are speaking, like you're on stages, you're doing podcasts, you're a coach. Have you noticed that like it gets easier to speak, and like you have less of a speech impediment? Because that's just something that I've noticed for myself.
I don't know if I noticed I have less than a speech impediment. I think for me, one of the things that really helped me to slow down is Toastmasters. See, this is
Yeah.
whenever my husband and I moved from Germany to Wyoming. I know, big jump. I went from Georgia to Wyoming, to Georgia to Germany to Wyoming, thanks to the military. And now I'm in Indiana, so I've been all over. Um, I joined a Toastmasters group because I wanted to network, and I heard it was really good for public speaking, and that helped me to learn to slow down my speech. But if you and me were in person, Nick, I would be talking a lot faster. However, because we are on here, I tend to slow down my speech a lot more. And I think when I know, not think, I know when I slow down, not only am I considering my words a little bit better, but I'm also able to think about enunciating them more. So I
Mm.
do think that the more you speak, the better skills you get. And you begin to notice where's your flow and where some things that you can work on, and of course, things to take out. For example,
Yep.
certain words, I just take them out because I'm like, I can't pronounce them or I have a harder time pronouncing them, so I don't even go there. And then there's some
Yep.
liberties I give myself, especially whenever I'm speaking and it's timed, and give myself a little bit of liberty to go on a little rabbit trail and then come back. And,
Yep.
like this is more casual. So we don't really have anything scripted. So we could just talk about, and see how the flow goes naturally, right? And so when you are speaking, the practice helps you know not only get more comfortable, but like I said, understanding your flow, understanding your topics, understanding like where you can stand really confident in, and what are the areas you can tweak and do better in? Because we're always learning and growing. So that's something that I know I've discovered for myself with speaking. And I would love to hear what you discovered while you're, speaking more.
Yeah, of course. One of the things for me is, like I mentioned earlier, I stuttered. I still stutter. It's just a lot less. And it was like 3, 4 years ago. I found a little hack to help me not stutter. And like you were saying, the words that you struggle with. You know those words, so you just avoid them or work around them. For me, I also avoid a lot of words, but there's a lot of words that you have to use, and I know those words. I know the words that I started on, and before I say them, I say like I say ah, confidence. Confidence is a word that I started on easy. So if I just put that little it like breaks the seal on the word and makes it a lot easier. So that's one of the things that I figured out.
That's like
Yeah.
a disruptor, like a brain disruptor.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's what worked for me, and I've told many people about it who have a stutter, and they come back to me and they're like, "That helps so much." And it's like, yeah, and people don't really notice that little because we all say now and what,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. So it's just like it's fun. So yeah, that's one of the things that I learned, and then listen to yourself speak.
Mm,
Like, most of us hate doing that. We don't like listening to ourselves. But the more you listen to yourself, the better you will be at speaking, because you'll realize like where you don't sound the way you want, or things that you can improve on. So I really believe in listening to yourself.
Yeah, also having people critique you, finding that safe space. There's a couple of different speaking groups that I know of right now, and, Toastmasters is one of them. There's another one, and it's really designed they're just designed to help you be a better speaker, and having that critique is going to give you not only more confidence, but to make you a better speaker. So you are more enticing, more engaging, more, what's the other word? Like just more magnetic too. So having those containers or spaces to speak in is going to be really powerful.
Definitely, definitely. Now, I want to talk more about what you do, as someone who helps people get on more stages, tell their story. What are some of the key steps that you take your clients through?
Yeah, depending on what program you get into. So currently I have two programs. One is Rise and Shine, and the other is Be the Spotlight. So in a Rise and Shine, one of the main things we do is we start to break up your genius. So what I mean by that is the first thing we do is begin to understand what you are really good at. Most of us already know what that is. So now it's taking all of that. That's the thing I was telling you about earlier, taking all of this, putting it out there, and then begin to chunk it up and begin to create content. And then from there, we get to start to pick out our core stories. And these core stories are the stories that we share, whether we're on podcasts, on a stage, on social media, in a video, in a training, in a workshop. Doesn't matter. We're always going to share it. I shared a core story earlier about when I was a little girl. That's a story I share all the time, everywhere, and how I got to being a business owner, because that is a core story that helped me become who I am today. So we do that. And then the next step is we learn like the storytelling formula. And then, so that way we can start sharing our stories powerfully by tying it back to our offers. And then we go into
Yep.
how do we start attracting speaking coordinators, podcasts,
Mhm.
hosts, and summits, like those people who are looking for people to be on those stages. How do we do that through our content? And we start to talk about that. Of course, we talk about some marketing strategies because we do need marketing. So that's kind of like
Definitely.
the how I do it with Rise and Shine. Now with Be the Spotlight, that's more for those who are ready to be the spotlight. Talking about those who are like, I want to be a speaker. I want, I maybe that you already have a handle on social media, or you don't really care about social media. You just really want to be on stage. So in that
Yep.
program, the steps that we take in there is identifying your core stories, how to take all these ideas up here and put it into a signature speech. Then, of course, finding those speaking
Yep.
engagements, the strategies that is going behind the speaking engagements. Because yes, it's great to get up there and speak, but what do you do to capture, people and emails? How do you make the sale afterwards? How do you connect? How do you network? There's all these little nuances that a lot of people don't think about, and this is what we do. So that way not only what you're talking about, your core stories, but you also know how to capture leads,
Yeah.
turn your audience into paying clients, and to book new exciting opportunities everywhere you go. So that is pretty much what we're doing and be the spotlight. So it really begins
Yep.
with, like I said, both of the programs begins with let's take what's in here and get it out there in a way
Yep.
that's organized, has a flow, and that you can take it and run with it with content, speaking, training, education. I mean, anything. Because once you know how to talk about your expertise, more things are going to come from it, and it's going to open up more avenues to making money, getting clients, being seen, and being asked to speak on stages.
Exactly. And it's more than just talking about your expertise. It's telling your story
It
because
is.
that's how people connect with you. That's how they get to know, like, and trust you. So it's very important to actually tell your story, like what happened when you were growing up, what you got you to this point. That's what people want to hear. That's why I asked that at the beginning. What got you to where you are now? And then I knew what you were gonna do. I knew you were gonna share your signature talk. I knew it. And that's what I wanted. So, and like for the people listening, like it's hard to create that. It is. I went through a course many years ago now. It was a free gift. Back then, I never planned on speaking on stage. I never planned on having a podcast. I did not take it as seriously as I wish I would have. But I do remember they had 4 parts to your story, and this is a story that you should be able to tell in 30 seconds, 3 minutes, 15 minutes, half hour, 3 hours even. But it was like see, it's been so long I can't even remember. Head, heart, hands, head. So basically like or heart, head, see, I gotta go through that again. But anyways, it's like tell something, tell a story that's gonna tug at your audience emotion first, and then go into hand, which is basically how you help people or something that will help your audience. And then your head is usually like for entrepreneurs, where you really talk about what you do as part of your business, and then you end it with another heart story. Another story that kind of ties to the first one that tugs on the emotions. Do you kind of do something similar?
Yeah, so some of how I teach a storytelling formula is actually a storytelling formula out there, and that's really
Yeah.
what I teach. And I also
Uh-huh.
use a content framework system that I came up with. It's called DEARS, DEARS, and each letter stands for a different type of content.
Okay.
One of the things I do teach is how to utilize different topics that you have and tell a story for that topic. And I do talk about
Okay.
different types
Awesome.
of stories because the storytelling framework that I teach, and I love what the course you went through, how they taught that. So one of the things I teach is in the storytelling framework, you have your setup. So you're telling the story, and then you flip it to, hey, it's this you. So you're going back to the audience. And then
Ah,
where we
I
flip
like
it
that.
again to the
Yeah.
resolution, which is your awful. So that's how I tell my stories.
Oh,
However, I
yeah.
help my clients tell those stories based on their offers. And of course, I give them ideas
Uh-huh.
like client stories, your own story, and different parts of your story. And that's where we come up with the
Yep.
core stories. Because once, like I said, once you know your core stories, you can start to remember. Like, I am always coming up with storytelling posts. I just don't always post them because I come up with too many. There's all these like little
Yeah.
moments. And one of the things that I want my clients to practice is by taking any moment of the day and turning it into a storytelling framework or storytelling post, excuse me.
Uh,
Because when you learn how to do that, you can really begin to master how to start sharing anything into your offer. And yes, I also teach, pulling at the heartstrings, pulling at the emotions because people connect with emotions. And even, and really learning how to capture your emotions and capture even in the moment. Sometimes that's really hard to do because a lot of times we don't always want to be that vulnerable. And we could write that experience down. So when we're ready to share, and if we are willing to share, we can go back to the emotion, how we felt. A lot of times that's what I do is I remember the emotion, how it affected me, because I know that if I felt this emotion, my clients have felt the emotion. My clients have gone through it. And, so storytelling takes practice. It's not something that we always are good at. And just like the client that we were talking about earlier, one of the things that she said and helped her is, we started off with her core story, which she shared beautifully in a storytelling post, because a core story is like the basic story that we can start from. And then from that core story,
Mhm.
she began to see, I have all these stories to share. And it's about, now she's like exploring different types of ways of sharing her story. So that is like the beauty
Yep.
of how to storytell your way to success.
Yeah, I love how you teach it. Like that sounds perfect, and yours is way more personal. Like the course I went through, there was thousands of books, so they have to make it, a generalized, storytelling. But you can really help your individual clients really make an impact when they tell their story, and that's what makes you amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun because I feel that, I was talking to one lady just earlier today where she was like, I just don't want to add to the noise. And I challenged her by saying, I don't want you to think about it as added to the noise. I want you to think about it as like I get to be different from the noise, because people are getting confused and overwhelmed with hearing about the noise. And you can share your story, and someone's going to resonate with your story because they know you've gone through what I'm going through right now. You have the answers, because when we start listening to others, they may not have gone through what we have gone through. And that leads to a disconnect and a feeling of like, oh, like, can they really support me? Can they really help me? Do they really have the answers? But when we hear
Yep.
somebody and see somebody that we're like, man, I'm going through that now. She went through it. She found the solution. Who do you think they're going
Mhm.
to hire? Who do you think they're going to listen to? They're going to listen to the person they
Yeah,
resonate
they're
with the
gonna listen.
most.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that one. And like we've all been there. We buy courses, whatever, from people that we trust. It's like you gotta trust the person, you know. And yeah, I know that you're amazing. And I gotta say, for the people that are watching this on YouTube, I love talking to great speakers because, Monica, like, that speaking isn't just about your voice, it's also your body language. It's how you move on stage. And like right now, you're moving, you're interacting, you're smiling, like it makes it for such a great conversation when I get people like you that are just excellent communicators.
Thanks. I appreciate that. It- It's years of
Yeah.
experience. Years of experience. Still learning.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, what do you have to offer the audience today?
Yeah, so what I have for y'all today, if you are feeling like I don't know how to get my ideas out there, then I would love to give you a social media templates. So this social media template is going to help you start to brainstorm your expertise in a new way. And it's going to give you not only templates that you can copy and paste, but also brainstorming questions to ask yourself so you can come up with content. So if you're struggling on what to post, what to say, how to say it, then these templates are going to be for you. And yes, it's going to talk, it's going to have, the social media templates for female entrepreneurs. If you are a guy, if you're wondering like, can this work for me? It can. So don't sweat it. You can still use it.
Yeah.
It's just going to be in a pinkish color.
It's okay. We all like pink. Even the guys that say they don't, they secretly
I
do.
know, right? That's what I would try to tell my husband that. He's a very anti-pink person.
Yeah.
It's very manly, man.
Yeah.
It's very military.
Now, where can they go to find that?
Yeah. Well, you can see it in the comments below or in the
Okay.
thing below.
Show
Yeah, in the
notes.
notes below. There's like, what's the place called?
Yep.
You can see it there. You can also check me out at monicawrites.com. And, I would love for you to become a Facebook friend. So we'll have that in the notes below. And if you are wanting to connect with me on a deeper level and talk about how we can work together and partner together, feel free to email me and let's set up a time to just see where your goals are, where you want to go, and how I can best support you. And then my email is Monica at monicawrites.com, and that will also be in the notes below.
Exactly. You know the drill. All right, and then before we go, I gotta ask you the same thing that I ask every guest, and that is my slogan is your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
It reminds me of I had a quote unquote disability. Somebody said to me, they're like, I don't, she's like, it's so cool that you did not allow your disability to get in your way. She's like, Monica, so many people would have. And I was just like, I love to talk. Why would I shut up? Why would I not talk? Like, what are you talking about? And I never saw my speech impediment as a disability. And I would encourage anyone who sees a disability in themselves, whether that's not this, not that, don't have this together, to shift their mindset. So that way they can start seeing themselves as I'm learning to be successful. I'm learning to grow. I am learning to do this, or I am growing, so because that is your superpower. It's the learning and the growth and the experience that goes along with all that.
Oh, I love that answer so much. I really do because, like, even if you do have a so-called disability, it's not who you are. It's just a small little part of
Mhm.
who you are.
And that could be your
So, like for me,
superpower.
exactly, and that's what I did with cerebral palsy. I was like, all right, I'm tired of living a life where I don't like who I am because that's how it was for a really long time. And as soon as I was able to embrace my disability and realize that it's not me, it's not who I am, it has no effect on how I treat people, how I help people, all that. It doesn't affect that. I can be me. This is just a little piece of me. So yeah, just embrace who you are.
That's right. Embrace who you are. I love that.
And I gotta ask you because, like, I know you're gonna have an awesome response. Do you have any words of wisdom for the audience?
I'll be talking a lot about, the one thing that popped into my head is I recently talked about the one thing that as entrepreneurs don't always talk about is the level of self-trust it takes to get to success. I want to encourage each and every one of you to look at your self-trust. How are you building that self-trust in you? Because that's going to get you to your next level. So that would be my words of wisdom. Just stop building if you have it and continue to work if you have on your self-trust. And knowing that whatever you do, wherever you put your money, your time is going to come back to you fivefold, tenfold, 100-fold. If you just trust in yourself and trust that it's all coming to you now.
That is amazing advice. Thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
All right, Monica, this has been a great episode. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Awesome. If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember your abilities are infinite.